I have 7 o'clock, so I will call the meeting to order on this Tuesday, February 22nd, 2022, Tuesday. Let's see, City Clerk Sans Eiden, can you please do a roll call for attendance?
Yes, Councilmember Henry.
Present.
Councilmember Mock.
Present.
Councilmember Sayer.
Present.
Councilmember McKnight.
Present.
Mayor Johnson.
Present. Thank you. Welcome, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to tonight's meeting. The City Council is meeting remotely pursuant to Minnesota statutes, Section 13D.021, due to the ongoing health pandemic. We value our residents and community members, and we want to make sure that anyone who wants to participate and provide input can do so. Those interested in providing comments to the City Council can do so during tonight's meeting via Zoom. Information on joining the Zoom meeting is available on the agenda under quick links, watch city meetings, and view agendas and packets on the bottom of the homepage at cityofcarver.com. We ask that anyone wishing to address council wait to be recognized by the mayor, be respectful, wait for your turn to speak, and don't speak over one another. Callers will still need to provide their names and addresses for the record. All right, with that, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, can I get a motion to approve the agenda, please?
I'll make motion to approve the agenda.
We have a motion by Councilmember Henry.
I'll second.
And a second by Councilmember McKnight. Any further discussion? Clerk Sans Eiden, can you please do a roll call vote, please?
Yes, Councilmember Henry.
Aye, Glenn Henry.
Councilmember Mock.
Aye, Christy Mock.
Councilmember Sayer.
Aye, Lori Sayer.
Councilmember McKnight.
Aye, Joy McKnight.
Mayor Johnson.
Aye, Courtney Johnson. All right, motion passes unanimously. Moving on to community comment. Let's see, Brent, I don't see anybody else on the Zoom tonight, but can you confirm that?
I'm not hosting. Vicki, do you have?
Nope, there is no one else on the meeting.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to presentations and reports. Chief Trimbo, tell us about the fire department.
All right, just let me pull up the right screen here. You guys seeing the presentation?
Yeah, and closed captioning.
Yep.
So it's the wrong one.
No,
Okay.
It's just new that there's closed captioning. It's kind of cool.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor and council members, for giving me an opportunity to give you a quick update regarding the fire department. Recently, we had 4 members that graduated the academy. Aaron, Dee Dee, Caitlin, and Ryan. This means all the current firefighters on Carver Fire are Firefighter 1 and Firefighter 2 certified. Now I'm going to go over the last year regarding the fire department. Our call response by district, City of Carver had 71% of our calls. Dahlgren Township had 8%. San Francisco had 7%, and 4% of our calls went to mutual aid. Looking at the days of the week, it basically Saturday through Tuesday are the busiest, and Wednesday, Thursday, Friday it slows down a little bit. Not really sure why that is. It just happens to be that way. This is the type of calls we responded to. This is the same slide that you guys have seen over my last couple of presentations. It's just to remind you for a couple slides later on what falls into each category. So fire, medical, PIs, which is motor vehicle accidents, searches, hazardous conditions, special service calls, good intent calls, false alarms, and severe weather. So you can this gives a breakdown of the last 2 years. There's really not a lot of movement in this. If you look at 2020, fire was at 21% compared to 6% I don't think it's really any less calls. It's just we coded them a little differently for like smoke in the area. Maybe before it got classified as fire, maybe got put into a different area in 2021. So, but other than that, everything's kind of right in line. Not a lot of movement in there. If we go, this is a big slide. So if we look at from 2017 to 2021, 2017, 161 calls, 2018, 177, in 2019, 159, 174, and in 2021, we ran 195 calls. Or 295 calls, sorry. That's quite a big jump within 1 year. So the team has done an amazing job. All the officers, fire department members, just knocked it out of the park with responding to that additional percentage that we've seen over the last year. This is a larger percent in the county from the percentage wise. Other neighboring departments are up, but they're not up nearly what we are. So I kind of wanted to do a little comparison on where the increase was coming from. So this is a new slide. I kind of broke it down from 2019, 2020, 2021. And you can kind of see that the townships are kind of remaining the same or dropping a little bit. Where the increase is coming from is the city of Carver, with obviously adding more residentials and Carver Ridge. This is no surprise. Moving on to kind of a brief operational update. We're still running under pandemic operations, so we're still running with a duty officer from 6 p.m. till 6 a.m. to decrease the amount of all calls for the department and just to keep our guys a little safer if they're responding to less calls. And our station's still locked down to other members or other community people that would normally come in. We're just not allowing them to come in at this point in time. An update, chief officers are working on the SOPs, SOGs. We're hoping to have something to you guys by August. And then we are currently staffed at 31 as Phil Clay, which will bring him to in a future council meeting, has decided to retire as of December 31st or January 1st. Thank you, and I'm here to answer any questions that you might have.
All right. Thank you, Callie. Let's see. I'm just trying to get this so that I can see everybody. Let's see. Christy, go ahead.
Thank you. Callie, I have a question about the duty officer. So you have someone from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. Is that one person every evening, every day of the week?
There's a duty officer, and then we always run with a chief along with them. So it will be either myself, the deputy chief, or the assistant chief, Corey Trepetowski, will respond to calls. And it's not on all calls. It's on we select the type of calls that would be required a duty officer call. So certain medical calls, CO2 detection going off with no ill effects would be a duty officer call. But we would still do an all call for like structure fires or more severe medical calls.
And so that duty officer, are they on site at the fire station?
They are not. They're responding from their house.
Yeah. Okay. So are they being paid the 12 hours to be on duty call?
They are not being paid hourly. They get paid 2 hours per shift.
Okay. And then plus whatever they might have to go in for.
Correct.
Okay. I know that it says it's still running under pandemic conditions. How do you think this is going? I mean, do we look at this as something that we continue to do, or do you think we'll drop it at some point? I mean, I'd like to hear from you what you think about how it's going. Is it getting to be overwhelming for the people who are covering the shift?
The duty officers are loving that part of the operation, so I hope that we don't have to drop that, as they're enjoying being able to respond and kind of get those touches as an officer. As far as the pandemic, operations within the fire department. I'm hoping that we're able to relax those a little bit in the future, as some of the members like to go in and get, hands-on experience with medicals, but we're only sending one person in at a time right now, unless they need more people.
Okay, so the duty officer itself, is that considered part of our pandemic response at this point?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
We started that with the pandemic.
Okay. Can you tell me when we started it, how long we've been doing it? I know the pandemic's been going on a while, but I don't think we implemented this right away.
It was fairly soon into the pandemic that we started running a duty officer for that time frame. In fact, we started running it 24 hours a day for a couple months there in the beginning of it. So I want to say May of the start of the pandemic.
Okay. And then remind me, do they take then one of the command vehicles home with them so that they're able to go directly to scene?
Correct.
Okay. Okay. I'm glad to hear that it's been working out and that you're not being overly stressed by that, and the people who are doing it. So thanks for continuing on. And if we look at loosening up some of those pandemic regulations, then if the duty officer is working and with Brent's guidance also, that it might be something to just continue with if it's going well for you.
Yeah. Sometimes the guy's not like, at 2 a.m, getting up for a call that only requires 1 or 2 people, it really helps out with.
Great. Good to hear. Thanks for the information.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Christy. Any other questions? Comments? Go ahead, Joy.
Callie, what would make us go out of the pandemic operations mode? Is there some kind of city or state action that would?
I think it just, when COVID's a little bit more relaxed, we were kind of working our way out of it before this last round. So kind of just based on where COVID is. I could see us, a lot of cities are, like obviously the city of Carver going back into being able to meet in council chambers, things like that. Those are all kind of touch points that you could see us kind of loosening restrictions within the department.
Okay, thank you. And then, with this increase in calls this year, I assume, in your opinion, is there any reason why it wouldn't sustain, considering our population growth and other aspects? And if that is the case, do we have the staff to cover this, or is there something that we should be thinking about doing differently in the future to be able to accommodate this sustained higher level of calls, such as the duty officer model?
I think at this time, I see no reason why it would drop off significantly. I could see it dropping off a little bit. That's a pretty large increase within 1 year.
Yeah.
January was up over last year, January. But February seems to be going on a little slower. So, at this time, I believe we have enough staff. It's something that we might want to look at in the future, adding either additional members or adding in more duty shifts.
Okay. Okay, thank you. That's all I had.
Anybody else? Nothing from Glenn? Nothing from Lori? Kelly, you guys almost doubled your calls. That's phenomenal, and you guys are doing a great job. Kind of to what Joy was asking, but do you need anything from us? Is there anything that we can do to support you as the growth of our community is directly corresponding to the calls you're responding to?
Other than a couple new trucks, no.
It's funny, I heard the same thing down at Soggy Bottom when I talked to your folks. I like consistent messaging. Well done.
Yeah, we coach them all well.
Well done.
We are we'll evaluate it every year, but at this time, I think we have all our resources that we need.
Okay. I also think you are doing something right here in Carver. When I meet with my mayor colleagues from Carver County, they all had a heck of a time recruiting firefighters and have for the last couple of years. And I remember, you always do such a great job of bringing in all the new firefighters. And I know that we had a list of folks that we weren't able to accept on the fire department. So that seems like it's not as much of an issue here. So That's great to hear, and it's good to have one less thing to worry about. So thank you for your work with that.
You're welcome.
All right. Anything else for Chief Trimble? All right. Thanks, Kelly. We're going to move on. Let's see. There are no public hearings this evening. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make motion to approve the consent agenda.
We got a motion by Councilmember Henry and a second by Councilmember Mott.
Second.
Okay.
Yep, there we go. Sounds good.
All right. Any further discussion? Clerk Sonseiden, could you call the roll, please?
Yes, Councilmember Henry.
Aye, Glenn Henry.
Councilmember Mock.
Hi, Christy Mock.
Councilmember Sayer.
I, Lori Sayer.
Councilmember McKnight.
I, Joy McKnight.
Mayor Johnson.
Aye, Courtney Johnson. All right, the motion passes unanimously. We don't have any business items this evening. Number 9, communications. Mr. Merrick.
I don't have anything. Thank you, Council. Okay. Chief Sherman, would you mind unsharing your screen so we can get the full?
While he's doing that, Joy, council member updates?
Sure. So I attended the Planning Commission last week on behalf of Glenn. This was the public hearing for the Brookview development. We had significant resident input and feedback in that meeting, a couple hours worth of feedback. So that was really impressive. I don't think we've seen that in a few years. I know there were several concerns, but I also understand that there's been a lot of work going on since that meeting about that development, and we're going to hear more about that in our future meetings. I'm sure Brent can give us an update. But yeah, so it was a lively meeting, that's for sure.
All right. Anything else, Joy?
No.
Okay, thanks. Glenn?
Am I on?
You're on.
Thank you, Joy, for filling in. I sat in for, I don't know, till about 8:15 in the meeting, and there was a lot of feedback, and it's going to be, it's just going to be interesting going through the process with this development. So other than that, I've got nothing else to add to it. So thank you again, Joy.
Sure thing.
All right, Christy?
Our our ABC meeting was canceled this month, so I don't have anything else to report.
All right, Lori?
I didn't have any additional meetings this month, so nothing to report or updates. Thank you.
All right, let's see. For my updates, on the 10th, I had a Meet the Mayor meeting at Carver Ridge, so I got to meet some of our neighbors over there and answer their questions and bring them up to speed because of where they're located. They're very, very interested and excited about the 6th Street project, which I think we all are. So that was fun. We had Carver County Mayor's meeting on the 11th. I held Mayor's office hours on the 12th. Brent and I met with some folks from the county about plowing the county trail, specifically the trail between Carver and Chaska. So I think that we're going to be seeing some more from them hopefully soon. Let's see, there was a community leaders meeting last Friday where the community leaders meeting is where it is the mayors and the city administrators for all of the communities in the school district, and then sometimes county commissioners and the sheriff's department. The school district brought in all of the new middle school principals who are all new within the last year and a half. So it was good to meet them and kind of hear about what they're doing in their school communities. Let's see. And then we had another Business Alliance meeting on Friday, which was pretty decently well attended, and those are always very casual meetings, so that continues to be going very well. And then last but not least, hopefully everybody got the opportunity to come downtown last weekend. Funky Minds put on their Light and Seek event where they did these little ice crystal luminaries along the trail and in Riverside Park. This is the second year that Anna Edlund and Shelley Rudolph have done this event, and the weather was great this year, and it's just a really cool event. So Thankful to have folks who spend so much time in making easily dozens, if not hundreds, of those little frozen luminaries. That is it for me. And if there isn't anything else, oh, go ahead, Brent.
The comments from Councilmember McKnight and Henry just reminded me of something that I think is important to share, that I think Aaron and I think all of us collectively have work to do in trying to express this. But one of the takeaways that I got from the last Planning Commission meeting that I've had in other circumstances is I think it's very hard, and I appreciate it because not everyone deals with planning applications on a day-to-day basis. But I think for the normal resident that goes about their day-to-day activities, it sometimes can be hard to comprehend and understand why the city can't get a development application and have Aaron just out of hand say, no, we're not going to even review this. Now, there are some situations, if someone said, I'm going to put a 100,000 square foot pole shed in my backyard, where she might say like, well, you don't have enough property to fit that in. But even on that occasion, there are systems built into our code where people can apply for things that we know may or may not have good opportunities to pass Planning Commission and Council. But what I found as a takeaway, there are, and I understand, but there were a number of people that I felt like I heard were kind of offended or perplexed that the city was even considering the land use application. I think of it almost as, and I'm pretending to be an attorney here, Dave, but like I think of it as due process. Like they have the right to like apply to use their land in a certain way, and the Planning Commission and the council have an opportunity to review it. But in that same vein, residents have an opportunity to say, hey, no, we don't like it. But as we develop learning lessons from this project and others, I want to continue to work with Aaron and the Planning Commission and you all to kind of think of ways that we can express that in a way, and maybe at a time where it's maybe not as intense as it is when you're considering a kind of a real world application in front of you. But I think it continues to be a kind of a constant source of stress for folks when they have a hard time wrapping their hands around, why is this even being looked at? Why can't you just say no out of hand? And so if you all have feedback, whether it's now or in the future related to that, I think that's something that we have an opportunity to be a city that has best practices for that, because this Brookview development certainly won't be our last housing application. And I think there's an opportunity to grow. It's just we're going to have to work on identifying what those areas are and how to communicate them, probably more importantly. Thank you.
I think that's a really good idea, Brent. I think in conversations that the two of us have had, I've always said that, you know, knowing what I know now, I'll never buy a home the same way again. But when we purchased our house 12 years ago, my biggest concern was the horrendous carpeting that to this day is still in the basement. You know, I didn't think of the pillow factory is just on the other side of that berm, and what issues will that bring, or what will future development look like, and are there any concerns that I have with that? In contrast, you talk to somebody like Aaron, who spent a half a day, Aaron, with the city of St. Louis Park when you bought your house and really digging in and doing all of your homework and your research. I think that there's got to be, and we all know, we're all homeowners on this call, that the process of buying a home is stressful and time consuming and restrictive in timelines. So it's hard to carve out time or to know what you should be looking for. And especially, you know, if you're in love with a site because of a really picturesque, scenic, vacant area behind your home. So yeah, I'd like to put some thought into how we can do this. I don't know if it's a tab on the website that offers, you know, the ABCs of planning and zoning, and kind of just the PowerPoint presentation that Erin always does in these presentations when she's talking about a new development, kind of talking about the steps and this is a concept plan versus a preliminary plat versus a final plat. I don't think that, you know, a city class or, you know, like a Citizens Academy would be the ticket, because I think we'd have approximately 2 to 3 people who would be interested in something like that on the high end. But I think that this is worth discussing. And you're right, at a future date, probably not while we've got an issue that we're, you know, working through, or when we've got a development that's been a hot button talker among residents. Anybody else have any thoughts?
Yeah, I think more education materials are probably warranted. I know, Brent, when you and I talked, I think we've learned a lot about how to communicate about development or other projects that are going on in the city, and really documenting what we're hearing from residents, saying, hey, we had a feedback session, we learned this, and this is what we did, just to really, in case that people weren't at the meeting, that they can kind of hear that and say, oh, I thought that too. Okay, good, I'm being heard. And just the ways that we communicate with residents about projects, I think we've learned a lot, and need to continue to take those lessons learned, but also some sort of basic planning education materials is probably not a bad idea, because then we can reference those every time a project comes up, or we need to educate residents about a nearby project. We can say, hey, we have these materials, right? This help explains the 101, and can help you understand what's happening adjacent to your property.
And you saying that made me think, I think it's a communication strategy where you throw everything out there and see what sticks. So maybe it's annual postings of curious about development, and it's a Facebook post, and it's a newsletter article, and it's, you know, a bunch of different vehicles. It's a tweet, you know, seeing what we can do and where we can hit people so that they digest it and consume it and read it.
Yep.
All right. Okay. Anything else, Brent? All right. Then with that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make motion to adjourn.
Motion by Councilmember Henry.
I'll second.
And a second by Councilmember McKnight. Clerk Sounds, Iden, can you do a roll call for the motion, please?
Yes, Councilmember Henry.
Aye, Glenn Henry.
Councilmember Mock.
Aye, Christy Mock.
Councilmember Sayer.
Aye, Lori Sayer.
Councilmember McKnight.
Aye, Joy McKnight.
Mayor Johnson.
Aye, Courtney Johnson. All right, motion passes unanimously. We are done for the evening. Have a good night, everybody.